The heart of Europe, a city once stood as the ultimate symbol of division, a place where ideology built a wall stronger than any natural barrier. This city was Berlin, and cutting through it was the infamous Berlin Wall, a concrete line that separated not just land, but lives. For nearly 3 decades, families were divided, friendships were destroyed, and a nation was forced to live in 2 completely different worlds. This division was not accidental. It was the direct result of the intense global rivalry known as the Cold War, where 2 superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, competed for dominance without ever directly going to war. After the end of World War II, Germany lay in ruins, defeated and occupied by the Allied powers. The country was divided into zones controlled by the United States, Britain, France, and the Soviet Union. Over time, these zones turned into 2 separate nations: West Germany, which followed a democratic and capitalist system, and East Germany, which adopted a communist system under Soviet influence. Even Berlin, located deep inside East Germany, was split into East and West, turning the city into a front line of ideological conflict. While West Berlin prospered with economic growth and personal freedoms, East Berlin remained under strict government control, where the state monitored its citizens closely. By the late 1950s, millions of East Germans had begun fleeing to the West, seeking better opportunities and freedom. This mass migration became a serious threat to the East German government, which was losing its workforce and credibility. In response, on the night of August 13, 1961, authorities suddenly sealed the border. Barbed wire was laid across streets, railway lines were cut, and within days, a concrete wall began to rise. This was the birth of the Berlin Wall, a structure that would soon become one of the most heavily guarded borders in the world. Guard towers, armed patrols, and a deadly death strip ensured that crossing the wall was extremely dangerous, and many who tried to escape lost their lives in the attempt. Life on either side of the wall quickly became drastically different. In West Berlin, people experienced freedom of speech, economic prosperity, and access to global culture. The city became a symbol of Western success, supported by the United States and its allies. In contrast, East Berlin was tightly controlled by the government, where the secret police, known as the Stasi, kept a constant watch on citizens. People lived in fear, knowing that even their neighbors could be informants. Travel was restricted, and opportunities were limited, creating a growing sense of frustration among the population. Over time, the Berlin Wall became more than just a physical barrier. It became a powerful global symbol of division. World leaders often referenced it when speaking about freedom and oppression. In 1963, John F. Kennedy visited West Berlin and delivered his famous speech, declaring solidarity with the people living in the shadow of the wall. Years later, in 1987, Ronald Reagan stood near the wall and challenged the Soviet leadership with his iconic words, calling for its destruction. At the time, however, the wall seemed permanent, an unbreakable line that defined the Cold War. By the 1980s, cracks had begun to appear in the Soviet system. The economy was struggling, and the cost of maintaining control over Eastern Europe was becoming too high. When Mikhail Gorbachev came to power, he introduced reforms such as openness and restructuring, which allowed more freedom of expression and economic change. Most importantly,